Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world or whatever time you'll be watching this video. So, guys, the other day, our famous Jamaican social media personality, Auntie Donna, she was making an oxtail dish for her family and her staff. Now, oxtail traditionally in Jamaica, it's a brown stew, and at the end of the dish, or at the end of the meal, once you finish cooking, rather, you add some either broad beans or butter beans to it, and it is normally brown stew with some browning. Now, Auntie Donna decided to add a little twist to her meal that she was cooking for her consumption, and she decided to add or to make the oxtail using strawberry and sorrel. So a lot of us had never seen that combination before. And while I understand that a lot of us Jamaicans like to stick to tradition, and we also need to realize that tradition came from somewhere. It wasn't just out of the blue that people just decided to do oxtail a particular way, right? We have to remember that every meal, every dish, every baked product, it all came from somewhere, and some person had to do a trial and error before they came to the conclusion of what you now consider as tradition, right? So there was a lot of backlash with people saying her oxtail, her combination isn't fit for consumption. It will send people to the hospital. Some people even said it would send people to the grave. And there was a lot of negative backlash regarding her dish because everyone was saying they have never heard of oxtail being done that way and this way, and she should stick to tradition. So what I did, I went to look up at like other cultures to see how they cook oxtail, because oxtail isn't just a Jamaican dish. So I'm gonna bring you through a few different ways of cooking oxtail. So first up, we have the car, and the car, it's a Philippine stew, and the car it derives from curry. So it's a Philippine stew that features a thick, savory peanut sauce. It is generally made from a base of stewed oxtail, beef tripe, pork hocks, calves' feet, pig's feet or trotters, various cuts of pork, beef stew meat, and occasionally offal. Vegetables such as eggplant, Chinese cabbage, or other greens, daikon, green beans, okra, and asparagus beans are added. The stew is flavored with ground roasted peanuts or peanut butter, onions, and garlic. It is colored with annatto and can be thickened with toasted or plain ground rice. Variations of car can be made with seafood such as prawns, squid, and mussels, or exclusively from vegetables. So there you have it. This is one dish that includes peanut butter or peanuts, and this is oxtail. We now have the balbacoa. So the balbacoa is spelled Balbakwa or Balbakoa. And this is a Filipino beef stew made from beef, collagen-rich beef parts, which are like the oxtail, skin, and joints, and various spices cooked for several hours until very tender. It is typically served with white rice or misua or miki noodles. It originates from the Visayan regions of the Visayas and Mindanao Islands. Common spices used include garlic, onion, black or white pepper, labio chilies, ginger or turmeric, annatto oil, star anise, fermented black beans, bay leaf, coconut vinegar, lemongrass, fish sauce, leeks or scallions, soy sauce or salt, and so on. Secondary ingredients are similarly variable, including piche, ground peanuts, baked beans, tomatoes, and saba bananas. And based on the ingredients, balbacoa has sometimes been described as being a cross between puchero and karkar dishes. So that's another way of cooking oxtail. Another dish is called the bulkachon, and this is a Filipino soup dish prepared with carabao meat, which is a type of water buffalo, where it is slowly simmered with spices and lots of ginger until it is fork tender. Another oxtail dish is the menudo solipina, and this is a type of Filipino stew prepared with slow simmered oxtails with ham, chorizo, chickpeas, and capsicum in a tomato-based sauce. We now have the kori gomtang. So the kori gomtang is a wonderfully light tasting soup that's made by slow simmering oxtail for many hours. The meat on the tail pieces turn ultra tender, while the broth is infused with the natural flavors of the bone and the cartilage. This hearty soup is always served with a bowl of fresh hot rice on the side, and diners can scoop in some fresh rice into the soup and mix the two together before eating. And I'm sure we have never scooped in rice in an oxtail soup before. So, another way of eating oxtail. Another oxtail dish is called the pho bo with oxtail and tendons. And the pho bo with oxtail and tendons is a Vietnamese-inspired dish made with rice noodles in a rich beef broth served with oxtails and beef tendons. The pho is usually prepared meticulously simmering beef bones for a long time using like backbones and oxtails with some Asian spices and aromatics, then served with thin slices of raw beef. Okay, so that is another way of cooking oxtail. Then we have the soup ekor, which in Malaysian or soup bonton in Indonesian is a popular comfort food in Malaysia and Indonesia. Basically, it's a soup dish prepared with oxtail and the vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and the tomatoes, seasoned with shallot, garlic, and spices like cumin, coriander, cinnamon, cardamom, and star anise. And usually this dish is served with rice and accompanied by sambal, sweet soy sauce, and lime juice. It almost resembles the Filipino nilangan baka, but this Indonesian and Malaysian version has more layers of complex flavors thanks to the aromatics and spices used, which makes the dish more interesting to eat. We then have the Asian style braised oxtail, and this recipe was inspired from Gordon Ramsay's Ultimate Home Cooking, which is a favorite meal of his. So this dish is used cooking with fish sauce, oyster sauce, soy sauce, hoisin sauce, beef stock, carrots, lemon rind, star anise, brown sugar, ginger, onion, garlic, minced red pepper flakes. So This style of doing the Asian style braised oxtail, it definitely does not lack in the flavor department. So again, that is another way of cooking oxtail. Then we have the oxtail udon, which is a Japanese inspired noodle soup dish prepared with fall off the bone, slowly cooked oxtails on dashi stock and umami filled broth. This is served with chewy udon noodles and add to that some toasted garlic chips. It's not just beefy, but it's also fishy from the dashi stock. So even though it's oxtail, you have the taste of oxtail, the beef, as well as fish. So that's another different combination that us Jamaicans aren't used to. Then we have another oxtail dish is the oxtail curry. And yes, some persons in Jamaica and the Caribbean, they also do curried oxtail. And this you can serve it with some basmati rice and a good naan, which will, mop up all the wonderful sauce. And this is used by, you use your green marinade, and the green marinade includes scallions, scotch bonnet pepper, onion, garlic, ginger, culantro, and it also known as chadobeni. And culantro is widely used throughout the Caribbean. And this herb is similar to cilantro but more potent, making it better suited for long cooked dishes, although cilantro can be used as a substitute. And the Jamaican curry powder is much like East Indian blends, but typically has warmer notes from a good amount of nutmeg, cinnamon, and clove, helping to build a robust island flavor in this stew. So there we have the oxtail curry, or in Jamaica we would say curry oxtail. Then we have the Copycat Alley Restaurant Oxtail Soup. And this is more Hawaiian, and it is prepared with star anise, shiitake, Chinese dried dates, raw peanuts, and whiskey, orange peel, and ginger. So different ingredients going in different oxtail dishes. Okay, guys? Then we have our typical Jamaican oxtail stew, and that is cooked with butter beans. As I've said before, you can add carrots, peppers, allspice, and thyme. And us Jamaicans, we cook it using different variations, using browning, or sometimes we use burnt sugar for the browning. If we don't have browning, we add bell peppers, onion, garlic, green seasoning. We do our own style of cooking our regular Jamaican oxtail stew, but most of us, or 99.9% of us, use the traditional method of cooking this oxtail. Then we have what we call the rabo encendido. And this is a Cuban oxtail dish which is prepared with capsicums, carrot, potatoes, tomatoes, and onions, spiced with allspice, nutmeg, and chilies, and it's cooked until they melt in your mouth. Then we have the oxtail borscht soup, and this is a Russian way of cooking oxtail. So basically it's a marriage of two great dishes, which is the borscht and the oxtail soup. And some ingredients used are celery, carrots, tomatoes, green cabbage, beef stock or beef broth, tomato paste, and russet potatoes. Then we have the coda alla vacinara. So the oxtail is parboiled and then simmered with large amounts of celery, which is typically, at least 3 pounds of celery for every pound of oxtail. You have carrots and aromatic herbs. Tomatoes and red wine are added, and then the mixture is cooked further with a mixture of seasonings such as onions, garlic, prosciutto, which is uncooked, unsmoked, and dry cured ham, pancetta, which is salt cured pork belly meat product, and some other ingredients. And during the final phase of cooking, a bundle of seasonings such as bay leaves, celery stalks, and cloves is put in the pot for flavoring. It is cooked until the meat easily separates from the bones, and it is seasoned with cinnamon, nutmeg, and black pepper and garnished with pine nuts. And the coda is usually prepared to taste sweet and sour, usually using raisins or sometimes candied fruit or a small amount of grated bittersweet chocolate. The coda is generally prepared in advance and reheated, and leftovers can be used as a sauce for rigatoni, which is then named rigatoni al succo di coda. So again, a different method for cooking oxtail. Then we have the oxtail ragu. And the oxtail ragu is an Italian dish of slowly braised oxtail until the meat falls off its bones in a rich tomato sauce. Herbs and spices usually served with pasta, crusty bread. So the ingredients in this dish is Italian cured pork meat made from pig's cheek or bacon, red wine, Italian style chopped tomatoes, beef stock, celery, carrot, onion, garlic, basil, oregano, sea salt, ground pepper, olive oil, potatoes, or even rice. So different ingredients for different oxtail dishes, guys. Then we also have the slowly braised oxtail. And this slowly braised oxtail, you can cook it with carrots, parsnip, and turnip in tomato sauce. And a lot of persons, do enjoy this as it's considered like a soul food. And some of the other ingredients used are carrots, parsnips, turnip, onions, garlic, tomato paste, beef stock. Sometimes you add a little bit of water, dried thyme, and bay leaves. So, those are a list of 17 different ways in which you can cook oxtail. So for all the persons who were bashing Miss Donna's version of her cooking her oxtail, you guys need to broaden your horizons. Yes, it wasn't the traditional way of cooking oxtail, but as you can see from this video, there are different ways of cooking oxtail, and not because she cooked it that way means that it's inedible. Okay, or it will send you to the hospital or send you, or hurt your stomach. So guys, as always, food, it's a work of art. When you're in the kitchen, you can use your imagination to create different dishes. So if you see someone cooking something, before you bash it, at least give it an honest overview. Yes, sometimes it may not be to your liking, but that doesn't mean that whatever the person is cooking, it shouldn't be cooked that way, because there is no one way to cook anything. You have different cultures, different countries. Even in your own country, you may have different people cooking stuff differently. Some persons you can be scrambling eggs. Some persons may take off the white of the egg. Some persons don't take the white of the egg. Some people just scramble egg just like that by breaking it. Some people break it in a bowl and whisk it before transferring it to the pot. Some people put the egg in the pot without whisking it. Some people add a little bit of milk to their scrambled eggs. So there are different variations of cooking. So instead of bashing someone for their cooking, just look at it with different lenses to say, oh, maybe that is a different way in which I can incorporate, something else to move away from the tradition and just to change up your culinary experience. Okay, guys, so I hope you learned something from this video, and you can leave your comments and give me your ideas and thoughts on what you thought about these different methods of cooking oxtail. Thanks, until the next video.